So there was actually three different opportunities today that people that kind of understand how to trade, at least my methods that I teach, were able to catch, not just the one that I sent out. However, the one that I sent out was more than enough for the day. But if you were able to catch the second time or even all three, then the amount of money you probably made today was a little bit silly, like crazy good silly. So I'm going to explain to you the three different opportunities really fast, but I'll mainly highlight the one that we ended up catching together in Akashx. And then obviously I like to always give you guys some, tips on risk management, psychology, expectations, right? Like just always keeping in mind that everybody almost in here is a beginner that's looking to get into trading or is just barely started their journey. So I don't want to get too technical or, scare you guys away. Now, I know there's some people that are ready for it. They just want to really like deep dive and learn a lot today. But then there's some people that they look at this chart and they're like, man, will I ever understand what the heck I'm looking at right now? And, everybody that's like a teacher or something, they're always going to say, oh, I used to be in those shoes too. I know exactly what it feels like. And like you hear that so much that you wonder if you really, really do understand how I feel, or do you really understand like how I see these charts right now? And I really do. Like I really do. 6 years ago was a while ago, but not that long ago. My memory is still somewhat solid. So I knew exactly what it was like in 2018 to look at a chart. I actually had like a Mac laptop. I'll show you guys a picture. And I was there studying it with my wife. And it wasn't honestly like until months later that I started drawing little rectangles on the screen. People are doing that now in their first week or two because we've just figured out what we've done right from 6 years ago and just accelerated it and turned Akashx into this beast that just creates like crazy traders like very fast. But again, a lot of us, we look at this and you don't even know what the heck, like where to start. So I just want to kind of, put that filter on, to that crowd that needs that basic talk to just, explain to you, teach you, motivate you that you're gonna understand these charts. And something that a lot of traders may use, may not use, it really just depends on your style, is a lot of technical indicators is what they're called. And I know a lot of educators here in the platform that do use indicators. And I'm not the guy that ever tells you you have to trade my way, that my way is the only way, that my way is the best way. That doesn't exist. The people that say that stuff, honestly, is just for their ego, or they just really want to sell you on their course or on their stuff. I'm not that guy. I've seen that with trading, there's a lot of ways to make the same money. So I respect all ways. However, what I'm going to tell you guys is, and maybe there's somebody in the chat that can answer this. I like to interact with you guys. What are the two things, like bare minimum, that you need to be able to trade? And I'm not saying like a computer or internet. I'm saying like trading concepts, right? Like, I don't know, market structure, indicators, this, that. Like, what are the two things that you need in order to trade as a bare minimum? Not that you want to use it. I'm saying the ones that you must have, two things. Risk, smart money, SMC, trends, trend line, support and resistance, risk knowledge, mindset. I'm not going to say you're wrong when you say risk management and mindset. I'm just saying like the chart only. So not risk management and not even psychology. Like the two things that you need on a chart. Like what is like, I'm going to break it down this simple for you. What are the two things that a chart measures? There's only two things that the chart actually measures. Price and time. Yep. Time and price. That's all you need is time and price. You can use other things, and if it works for you, great. Again, such as indicators, this, that. But you don't need anything more than time and price. Now, I know somebody is probably thinking, well, if that's so true, why doesn't your chart look like this? Or not even that. Like, why does your chart have these little squares? Why does your chart have these lines? You're using something that's other than time and price. I'm actually not. I am actually not. Because the only things that I have on my chart really, because these gray boxes, so I'll delete these and put them back up. Those are just zones that are reading price. But I'll talk about time first. So it's time and it's price. And this is for anything, by the way. Like this isn't just for NAS 100. This is for stocks. This is for crypto. This is for commodities like gold, silver. You can even trade soybeans. Like literally, if you want to look up soybeans, like if I put soybean, yeah, you see, you can look up soy futures. You can see like what soybeans are doing. So like the things that I teach you guys here translate to all markets, all of them, because all I rely on is time and price. The only thing that, again, like indicators do work. Indicators are fantastic. I'm never going to say they don't work because there's educators that put their money where their mouth is and they use indicators every day and make our people money. So shout out if you use indicators, you know who you are. But with time and price, these red squares or whatever, that's kind of like what I use for my strategy. That's measuring a time of the day. That's a certain window of time in a day. That's all that this thing is marking up. And the high and the low, so there's four things, right? There's the high, there's the low. Those are horizontal. And then the vertical is time. Same thing here. If you look at if you guys hopefully if you remember from like middle school or whatever, you remember when they taught you horizontal and vertical, like X and Y axis. I don't know if you remember X and Y axis anymore, but there's the axis of price and the axis of time. That's what a chart is. You see price over here and time over here. So this red square, all it is measuring a certain time of the day and then the high and low of price in that time of day. And I talked a little bit about it yesterday, about the analogy that I used about if you worked at Starbucks and you only made money by commission. And so you can show up to work if you want at like 10 in the morning when everybody's getting coffee, or you can just decide to go to work your Starbucks job at midnight and you're probably not going to have as many customers. I don't know if you guys saw that. You could always watch the recording, but I was giving that analogy that a lot of people struggle because they're not timing their trades correctly. And I was really stubborn with that, let me tell you. Like I used to be really stubborn with the timing because I was like, oh, well, I already know my smart money stuff that I know. So as long as it hits the zones, I don't care what time of the day it is. And to an extent, that's kind of true. But you waste a lot of time and energy trading at the wrong time. I'll give you a perfect example of this, right? Because yesterday on Akashx, we ended up calling these cells. So I told you guys we had called. So the one that we caught together was the little cell right here. I talked about it yesterday. And then the one on Akashx was this entry that dropped this much. And then it ended up popping back up. That was the Akashx one that I sent out. And the thing is, think about it. I sold right here, right? The trades that we talked about today that I sold were the exact same price level. But what was the difference? This trade started happening in like the last hour of the day. And what I mean by that is like the day for me is 9:30 to 5 p.m. Eastern, because that's when the stock market opens. So if you look at New York Stock Exchange opening bell time, we talked about this yesterday as well, 9:30, and it says it goes till 4, right? I just really go from 9:30 to 5 because at 5 p.m. Eastern is where like your actual trading account will freeze for an hour and then kick back up at 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's the window that I'm looking to participate in. But when we take trades towards the end of the session, if it doesn't run fast, and it kind of did, like we were able to make some profit, but then it kind of reversed, and to re-enter at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., you just don't want to go through that. Why, Rich? Well, because look at the difference from how price moved up so aggressively like this in a matter of 30 minutes, an hour, a minute, hour 30. This was like this is like 4 or 5 hours of time right here that you moved thousands of points in the market. But after hours, that same 4 or 5 hours didn't move crap at all. So not only are you wasting time, and you can say, oh, but what if I'm not looking at the charts then? Like I just put my phone to the side. It's not like I'm actually wasting time because I'm not even looking at it. So that's fair. But at the end of the day, 5 hours is going to pass and you're going to check it and you're going to be at negative or zero. And you'll be like, damn, this thing is stuck. And that's the thing. A lot of people, when they're new to trading and they see a market not behaving how they think it should, they start asking like funny questions, but like I get it because you just don't know. It's like, what's happening why is the market stuck? Why is the market? A lot of the times, guys, it's because of timing. If you trade that 9:30 a.m. till 5 window, you're gonna get your opportunities for NASDAQ. If you trade something like the euro or the pound, you're going to want to trade during London session a little bit as well, which is 2, 3 a.m. Eastern, because that's when the banks and all that is moving in Europe. Because at 3 in the morning Eastern, it's 9 a.m. in London, Spain, whatever, right? So that's why those currencies are very active during London session. So you got to know what you're trading, right? And when those markets are most active. Now, how do you know, Rich? Like, how would I know? Just literally look at the chart and look at time and price. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I've said it a million times, but if I just like put a vertical line here at 9:30, Zoom thing getting in the way, man. All right, from here, let's put it to 9. Well, 9:30 is right here, fine. 9:30 till 5 p.m. is where it jumps from 4:30 to 6 right here. Okay. So again, you can see that time frame is the one that I'm talking about that moves very aggressively. Now you'll notice again this time frame from when this red box starts all the way up until New York session, which is slightly before 9:30. It's like 8 in the morning technically is when New York session starts. So the New York Stock Exchange, where the stock market opens, is at 9:30, but what's called New York session starts at 8. So like an hour and a half before the actual stock market officially dings the bell and opens up. But from that window of like 7 p.m. Eastern all the way until 8 a.m. the next day, what a coincidence that things don't move. And then right at 8, 9, 9:30, you get the big drop. So why would you, and I told you guys earlier, like the mindset that people have, those paradigms that hold us back from being successful outside of our traditional thinking is you need to work really hard if you want to be successful in life. The people that work the least make the most. I'm not saying you don't have to work hard to become a great trader. I'm not saying you don't have to work hard to become a great entrepreneur, but you work hard when you don't have skills to learn the skills. So you're not really working hard to make the money. You're working hard to develop the skills and become the person that makes money effortlessly. I hope that doesn't go over your head because that is such a nugget. I used to work at Walgreens for $8 an hour, and I was a lot more tired at the end of the day than I am now trading. Oh, big time. My shifts at Walgreens for $8 an hour were at 4 p.m. until 1 in the morning. And I would pick up pallets of water, run customers up on the counter till like midnight. And where I worked in Miami, that was a very busy Walgreens. So it wasn't fun. So why am I bringing that up? Well, because in trading, you can work really hard as a trader trying to trade at the wrong time. And what does that look like? It looks like you staring at your freaking computer or phone for no reason. It looks like you getting really impatient and stacking more orders or hesitating or like, starting to get nervous. Like you just do all this mental overload and like you'll get fried, like you're just gonna burn out staring at your phone, staring at your computer, not doing nothing. But if you learn what are you trading and when, and I don't even have to tell you, you can just pull up a chart and look day after day after day, and you're going to see the window of time when it's moving. So what would you do? Just wait until that window to trade. Simple concept, but like when you get the phone in your hand and you get your funded account and you start Akashx and all this, you're literally going to be like all day glued to it because it's like the adrenaline rush. And you're going to trade more out of impulse than strategy. And that is a very easy way to lose money. Super easy way. A lot of people actually lose money because they're bored when they trade. Like a lot of people, they get bored and they go trade. That's a bad recipe right there, but it's going to happen. Like I'm telling you, like you're not any different. Like a lot of people, all these mistakes that you hear, like it's my job to teach you them and let you know and bring it to your awareness so you can try to avoid it. But the chances of you completely avoiding a funded account being lost, blowing your first demo account, blowing your first small $100 account, it is something that is probably gonna happen. And you're probably, whoa, what do you mean, Rich? You guys are supposed to make me a bunch of money. You're telling me I'm gonna lose my money? Well, no, if you follow what we're doing, you're gonna be good. But there's gonna be at least an account that you have on the side that you don't tell nobody about that you're gonna try to trade on your own. And those things are gonna happen to you. So it's okay. Like if you want, because here's the thing, there's gonna be some people that are gonna completely just be like, dude, I want no part in learning this stuff. I just need to do enough to follow you guys. Respect. Cool, no problem. If you want to become great, becoming great is a whole different thing. If you want to become great, you have to embrace the failures and the things that we went through to be able to talk about it. Because you can't talk about something you didn't do because you wouldn't relate. You wouldn't understand. You didn't live it. See what I'm saying? So I'm just letting you know, right? These are all mindset things that don't have anything to do with telling you guys, hit the sell button right now. But like the analogy that I can teach you, I can give you a fish today and feed you, but if I teach you how to fish, you're good for life. Everybody thinks those are great sayings until it's your time to live it. Bro, just give me the trade. Oh my God, I got on this 8 p.m. session because I want to take another trade. You're missing it, bro. You're missing it. Because how many people do short-sighted things instead of the things they're supposed to do? I want you to pick up, and this is my last little yap before I just get straight technical and just show you this trade and we out of here. But how many of us have already lived life long enough? And whether you follow this or not, this is a principle of how life works. People that are successful operate with delayed gratification. What does that mean? Well, just look at the patterns of life, bro. There's things that life is trying to tell you since you were a little kid that you either get in tune with and you're in harmony with and you flow, or you keep trying to swim against it and it's not working for you, or you just have not developed any self-awareness to even pay attention to why your life is the way it is, good or bad. And those things are, if you eat sugar and bad food right now, you're what? Super happy. But when you're in the hospital in 20 years, you're going to be really pissed that you did that. Same thing with anything, drinking, drugs, this, that, anything that is instant gratification bites your ass way down the line. And all the things that you hate to do in the moment are good for you in the long run. Well, what makes you think trading is different? You guys can take all the signals you want from this free trial and make $5,000. Like, let's say some crazy number, which if you make $5,000 during the free trial, that's crazy. And then you get off of it and you're like, I'm not doing Akashx. I'm going to look for some other group to do free trials and stuff. You let the 5,000 upfront stop you from 5 million in the next 10 years because you didn't want to learn. You won't figure that out until 10 years down the line, but I'm letting you know, the people that learn and the people that actually do the work always end up coming off the top, like on top of all the people that just take the easy route. So we accommodate easy. That's what Tap to Trade is all about. That's our main customer base, and I'm not downing it. I think that you should just leverage the educators. You should just take Tap to Trades and trade alerts for a while. Well, all I'm saying is, even if it takes you 5 years, slowly try to do it on your own, just little by little by little. You don't even got to put any real money on there. Because here's the reality, guys. Like, you have me now and you have these people that shared this with you now, but who do you have 10 years from now? You're going to have just you. If we're even lucky enough to be alive in 10 years. So I'm just saying, man, like, wake up and make good decisions today. Lock in. All right, so let's talk about these charts. So number one, yesterday in our community, I usually like to give people a heads up ahead of time of what I'm seeing. And that is the beautiful thing about the strategy that I have called Liberty, is that by midnight of my time, which is Central Time, it's like 1 in the morning Eastern, by 1 a.m., I already know my red square, how it's developing. So by 1 a.m., I already have an idea of what to look for heading into New York session in the next 7-8 hours. So that's where I give people the heads up in the community. So if we go to Telegram and I go to NAS 100, so this is some of our Akashx community chats here. And I'm going to scroll up here. Okay, this was at 11:10 p.m. That's my time zone though. So this was like 12 in the morning Eastern. And I said, hey guys, these are my NAS projections for tomorrow. I said, most likely, based off what I've seen in the past, we're probably going to spike up a little bit and then reject, push down, and we're going to catch a really big sell. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But the thing is, I only trade one pair. I only trade NASDAQ. Now, I gave you guys the Peloton stock thing yesterday, and I'll kind of re-talk about that here. But that's just stock investments. Like, that's just stuff that I buy and hold. I'm not day trading that. I'm not looking at that every day. Like, I'm not actively, interacting. But NAS is the one and only thing I interact with. So another paradigm that we have to erase paradigms in our life and build the right ones if we want to win, right? And there's a paradigm that you probably will develop consciously or unconsciously when you trade, which is I need to trade every trade and every educator if I want to win. You can try that. I just think it's going to be really overwhelming, and your results are going to be all over the place because your approach is all over the place. So I'm not saying to just follow me. All I'm saying is when you come into Akashx, try different educators slowly, like here and there, or ask around. Like you can see the educators' results. You can see the last trade alerts. You can see and ask in the chat, like, hey guys, who are your favorite educators? Like I'm going to tell you this real quick. If you come into Akashx and you're that guy that's going to not message people, not talk in the chats, just kind of hang out in the shadows and try to make it happen undercover, it's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be really hard. That's why this is called a team. That's why there is these chats. The number one sign of somebody that sticks around long-term and wins big is who talks in the chats. And I'm not saying you got to talk in these specific ones. I'm just saying talk with the person who enrolled you. Talk with your favorite educator. It doesn't have to be these exact chats. I'm just saying, like, have conversations with people that are going to help you. Because I'm sorry, man. Like, I've tried working out in the gym by myself, and I've gone to like a CrossFit gym. And I know if after 30 days I try both, which one I'm going to get a better result with. Why? Accountability, mentorship. Simple. Accountability and mentorship always will take you further than the guy trying to do it by himself. Why do you want to do it by yourself? Because honestly, you either have an ego or you're scared. You have an ego that you feel like, oh, I don't need to talk to all these freaking people. I got this. Or, oh my God, I don't want to bother these people. And that was me. I was the I don't want to bother these people guy. And that's why I struggled for a pretty long time with trading. I'm letting you know for free up front before you pay a membership how to do this. If you don't follow the advice, it's up to you. So I'm letting you know on the chat the day before. Yo, these are my projections. There's going to be people that are only going to wait for my alerts to take the trade. And if that's you, super cool. No problem. I don't blame you. I would hesitate too at the beginning. But these projections are not just to like wave my magic wand of predictions. I don't believe in predictions. I don't know what the market is going to do. I just have a strategy that kind of boxes in price for me. And I see what tends to happen day in and day out around that box. And so there's only like 4 scenarios that can happen. And I just wait for one of them to happen and pull the trigger on it. And I'm either right or I'm wrong. And when I'm wrong small. And when I win big. So your math works. If that makes sense. So boom, last projections for tomorrow. That's what I see based on my strategy. You guys can learn the strategy for yourself by literally going to my educator training series, watching the videos, taking notes, asking me questions in the chats all the time. Yeah, this is the Akashx community channel. This is like not my thing. I don't have a my thing. I'm Akashx. I got the shirt on. So you go to Akashx official community and there's a NAS 100 section there. Because that's all I trade, so I'm gonna talk in there. Cool. So let's go over here and kind of replay back. So again, this was the projection here. And we see that it did indeed pop up above here, fake out. And then this is why we wait for New York session window. Because you can see around this red box, how the market tries to come up and it rejects, tries to come down and rejects. Those are called fake outs. And those are things that I anticipate. Because the market is manipulated and the market is very intentional. And when you start to understand the game of how they rig the market to take people out of orders and how it's all purposeful and going to very specific points of price, it doesn't mean you're going to be super successful. It doesn't mean that you're going to win every trade, but you start to align yourself with what the market is trying to do. And that in turn can help you win more consistent. So again, fake out, fake out. This is New York session at 9:30 hits. And the projection, obviously, I mean, if I'm talking about it, it's because it hit, right? So boom, super crazy drop. Now, I told you guys that my targets for that are going to be what is called a demand zone. And I personally like to look for these demand zones in the form of what is called a wick. So in trading with these candlesticks that you're seeing here, if I so the candlestick, and we teach you guys all this, of course. This candlestick that I want us to focus on, this one right here. There's 2 things that comprise this candlestick, and it's called a body and then the wick. So the body is like that gray square, and then the wick is that long little line. And basically a candlestick, very simply, guys, what does a candle represent? It represents time and price. Because in this candle, which this one is a 45-minute, you can see up top, 45-minute candle. So every time I change that to 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, it changes what that candle represents of time. So that 45-minute candle, this opened that 45-minute window here. It came down, came back up, and closed those 45 minutes there. It's called open, high, low, close. In this case, it was open, low, high, close. And then what does that mean? It means that the 45 minutes are up, and now the next 45 minutes start to load onto the chart. So these wicks are very telling of what the market is trying to do. Because what did I tell you? The markets are manipulated and intentional. How do you say that? Well, if we look back at where price was in here, for example, if we replay one more time, and you guys are getting sauce right now. I'm telling you, like, you're getting crazy sauce right now. The market here, does this look like it's gonna go down or up? I mean, obviously, you guys already know what's gonna happen after, right? Everything's easy in hindsight. But I'm just showing you, like, this was going down. Like, currently, this thing was pushing down. Okay, so look at how we have this low right here, right? What does this mean? It means that there was a lot of buyers that stepped in here and drove the price all the way high like this from this low point. So where are all of the people that were making money on this buy sitting at? They're sitting around here. So if we want to take those traders out of the equation and take their money, where is the price going to go? It's going to want to come to here to take those buyers out of the equation. That's where the manipulation and the intention are going to be very clear. Now, I think I saw a thing in the chat here. Why don't I see those time frames on my chart? I mean, you should. Like, you can look up top and there's these, and then you have a little arrow and you can sort between these. If you're using Trade Locker, you're going to be a little bit more limited on the options of time frames that you can choose, because Trade Locker just keeps a very generic version of TradingView built into it. But if that's why I recommend you do your chart work on TradingView, not Trade Locker. I just execute the trades mainly on Trade Locker, but I like to actually analyze the market on TradingView because of how many tools and things we have, just a FYI. So long story short, if we wait for this next candle here, boom. Look how market was just dropping. And why? Why does the market stop dropping here? Well, because the intention was that we want to take out all of the buyers, all of the people that pushed price up, all of these people right here, they are now taken out of the trade with this big push down. The same way that you guys have been taking trades on the free trial, right? Where, you know, like we tell you, hey, get in now and put your stop loss down here. Why are you doing that? Well, because if the market decides to crash and burn, I'd rather lose $100 planned than to lose $500 unplanned. That's why you need to have a safety net. That's why you need to have a stop loss. So when all these buyers are in and price comes down, they're going to get hit with their stop orders out of the equation. And now here's where we see, again, this is the intention. Now, how do we know it's manipulation? We would know it's manipulation when the market decides to completely go the other way. Because it makes no sense that the market would be just coming down and down and down. And as soon as we take this out, it just magically flies the other way. That's not an accident, guys. That's not random. That's intentional and manipulative. And you're either the victim that got stopped out, or you're the one that sees it coming and rides the wave with the banks. One of the two. So that's what happens there. Now, all of that is to lead us to where we're at with this trade idea. Let me take this back here, because part of the projections is not just where to get in, but where do we exit? Because the problem that a lot of people have, and they didn't have it today, was that they pull out of trades too soon. Why do I say it wasn't a problem today? Because that thing moved in literally 60 seconds. So you didn't even have time to think about it. So a lot of people experience what it's like to actually hold a freaking trade to the final targets because you didn't have time to overthink it. That's why I love these scenarios. I love this scenario because obviously it's like such a flex to just hit TPs in like 60 seconds. But more than anything, it taught people in Akashx today the difference between closing TP1s all the time and holding to the further TPs. And obviously, there's going to be times where it hits TP1 or 2 and then turns around and you're like, I wish I would have taken profit. Now I made nothing. It's a two-way street. Trade management is hard, right? Sometimes you have to close early because it's going to turn around and you're glad you did. Sometimes you're going to close early and wish you never closed so early. And there's no way to ever know exactly what setup is going to do what at what time. So you got to choose. Are you going to be the person to close early all the time? If you do, just know the risk to reward stuff that we've been talking about is not going to help you. Your win rate is going to have to be much higher. We talked about that these last sessions where if you make 1% when you win and you lose 1% when you lose, you need to make at least 6 out of 10 trades to make 1% profit, which is not fun. But if you have double, triple, or more in profit when you win compared to what you lose, you don't even need to win that much to still make money. That makes sense. So the targets of the projection originally were that gray box. Now that's called a demand zone. So there's supply and there's demand. So where we sold off of was in a supply zone. Why is it a supply zone? Well, because this is the last low that made a pullback up before we had a massive drop. So the key thing to always pay attention to on charts is where in the chart was there a time where, what was the time right before a crazy big move? Like right before the big move happened, where was price? And so if you see, this is the big drop, right? What happened right before the big drop? It was this pullback right there. That is a supply zone because that's the last time that buyers tried to drive price back up before a huge meltdown. So that's why we marked that up as a supply zone from the little low to the high, and we drag it out. And so that was one confirmation or reason why we were trying to sell up here in the first place. And that's why I caught this trade down here. TP2 ended up reversing. That was a timing issue. It wasn't a price issue. The sell price was actually very accurate, but the timing was wrong, or not wrong necessarily, but it wasn't ideal because we were wrapping up the last trading day. And so there wasn't enough there wasn't enough transactions happening in the market to drive the price at that time. Oh, we got the scammer. Hello, scammer. I was waiting for that. It's like the whole session, there was no scammers. And it finally came towards the end. That's annoying. Do not click the links. Please. Those are scammers. Okay, please. I left it on because we haven't had a scammer the whole time come in here. It's pretty crazy. It took them so long. All right. So this supply zone, again, is a big reason why we were deciding to sell up in this area. However, the timing towards the end of the session was the not so ideal thing. So once we kick back into New York session, boom, we get our move. Now, again, like the whole point of understanding supply and demand areas is not just knowing where to get in, but where to also at least think about exiting. And so this wick is that last manipulation that we see trying to push price down before we get a big move. And the way I want you to think about it is like a trampoline effect or like a bungee cord. Like where imagine like you're holding like a slingshot and you're like pulling it down and then you let it go and like it flies up, right? It's just like that. Price had like this whole slingshot pushing down and that just allowed this huge move to develop after. So that wick that you see, same way you have a supply zone, that's a demand zone. So it's just inverse. But it's the same thing. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, oh, but this isn't a wick. That's fine. If I drop the time frame to a different time frame, this is going to look just like this. So sometimes it looks like a cluster of multiple candles. Sometimes it looks like one big wick. Again, these are all things that you will learn. So I'm going to speed this up because we're almost at our hour mark and we're going to end it by then. But this is where I was saying, hey, like this is where we want to exit because there's a good chance that we're going to get reactions here because this is where the manipulation was generated. So whenever you see manipulation happen, that's a great time to get in the other way. But if you miss it, it's fine because price will always end up gravitating back towards it. So I had 3 different reasons why I wanted to get in the trade. Number 1, we were at a supply zone. I know that I usually want to sell in a supply zone. Number 2, and this is the main thing based on my strategy, is breaking out of the red box. Now, number 3 is intention. I know that the market is going to have intentions after running up so many points to rebalance price and to come back down to where the manipulation started. So I have multiple reasons why I'm getting into a trade. The same way that we talked about multiple reasons why I like the Peloton stock, and most of it was fundamental. This is the same thing, but technical. I have multiple reasons why I'm getting into this thing from a technical perspective. And so, yeah, man, that was like the drop, whatever, boom, boom, boom. And this is why we exit there. This is why I said there was multiple ways to make money today, because there was that original sell, if you know my strategy. This one, I wouldn't say people would do it with my Liberty strategy because it revolves around breaking out of the red boxes. But if you know supply and demand, which a lot of people do, when they learn from people like John Leal, oh God, there's a good amount of smart money guys in here, right? But there's a lot of them. You can see when you start Akashx, you'll see it says like supply and demand, smart money concepts, and they're talking about this stuff as well. And they're all amazing, okay? So boom, this is why we exit that trade. And then we get, but I ended up taking a small buy here, but I didn't call it because I only like to really call like the things that are my signature trades, which is breaking out of here. All right, so let's speed up. So boom, that was an opportunity for some buys to take us back up. Now let's pause it here. And let's go down to a 15-minute. All right. And we're going to fast forward to, let's drop it here. Okay. So a couple of reasons why I liked this trade. Number one, which you'll see now, is we're tapping into the range again of this red box, right? So whenever we get in this red box, I'm looking for two type of scenarios. Number one, it breaks out, or it fakes out and goes the other way. Kind of like how we saw here where it faked out and went the other way, right? Same thing here where it faked out and went the other way. This was just the breakout model. Now here, I was looking for the same thing. Even though you see price pushing up, 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 up into here, right? Your intuition is like, oh, the market's pushing really hard. I should buy. And sometimes that could work, but I like to do the opposite of whatever the market is doing a lot of times. Because whenever we have all these big candles, people are starting to chase price and they're kind of late to the party. If you bought here, different story because you're in good profit all the way up to here. But if you're trying to jump into buys here after we've already been buying from all the way down here, like how much more do you think this can actually go when it's already traveled this much? So I tell you, sell high, buy low. Again, everybody knows that, but on the charts and in the moment, your brain turns the logic off because you're emotional. You're getting emotional looking at what's happening. Your logic gets shut off. So as long as price hits here and rejects, that's a good sign. Because again, we're still in that area of supply. We're still breaking out of the low here. And then you can see, if you guys know about something called imbalance, I'm not going to get too technical, but all these really big candles here, they're going to end up rebalancing that at some point. So I had multiple reasons to jump in there. And then also, this is the last thing, we had something called the NVIDIA earnings. Now, this came out like literally right after I called the trade. So basically this earnings report helped our trade move very fast. That's why you saw people like taking profits in like literally a couple minutes or less, is because time and price. That's it. Time and price. I'm still in my 9:30 to 5 window, and the timing of this earnings report mixed with the price that it was at with my strategy is just a bang bang. Now, obviously, that earnings report could have come out a little bit different, and we would have spiked to stop loss really fast. But that's why we pull the trigger and we take a risk that we're willing to take to figure out if we're right or wrong. So even if it went the other way and we hit stop loss, I still would have been 3 wins and 1 loss for the week, still in profit. So I'm not scared to take the next risk. You know? So the NVIDIA earnings, you can see stock slumps despite another record quarter for the AI leader. Now you're probably like, oh my God, I love this, bro. I love this because you can go back and watch every session I've been doing. And I told you, I'm like, do you believe the news or not? I don't believe the news. because Nvidia's earnings were fantastic. Nvidia did great. Stock slumps despite another record quarter. Why, Rich? Well, because everybody follows the emotions and the hype and what other people say to do. You're taking advantage of all the time because you just believe whatever you read and whatever you see. Oh my God, earnings report is great. Stock's gonna freaking fly. No, we're gonna tank it actually. It's just I'm telling you, like whether it's global catastrophe, whether it's a stock earnings, I don't trust fundamentals. I've said it the other day without any type of context, and some people in the shadows probably were like, I don't agree with that. That's fine. But again, you're seeing it today. I said it because global crisis, missiles hitting Russia, our stock should be crashing, but it was going up. Contradicting, right? Okay, well, one of the top leaders of the NASDAQ, actually the leader of the NASDAQ, I think at this point, biggest company in the world, does really damn good, and NASDAQ crashes. How do you figure that? So I trust the technicals, man. I trust my strategy more than any news event. Now, the news event long term could be really good. It could be that now NASDAQ starts flying up long term because of something like this. But in the moment, nah, I don't trust it in the moment. And so, long story short, guys, if we drop this to a 5-minute, we went and called the sells right there. So I called the sells at 715 at 20,715. Have my 50-point stop loss up here. That's a standard thing I always do. We target anywhere from 3 to 4 times the risk. You guys can actually see if I go here to user.akashx.com. Oh, we're at an hour mark. I need to end this like ASAP. 27.15, 27.65 was the stop loss. That was the before picture. And yeah, the earnings came out. And I think it was, so that was the first 5-minute candle, second 5-minute candle, third 5 minutes, or 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in. I took profit at 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio because this happened so fast that the minute I saw we hit like triple profit, I'm like, dude, whatever goes down fast comes back up really fast. So let me secure my profit. And that's what we did. And right now, I think it's been pushing back down. I think where are we at now? Yeah, we're actually here right now. So even if somebody still held onto the trade, which that would have been very sad. If you did, you kind of saved again because we're still back up triple. So crazy Asian session. So you can see Asian session is really like this red box is just really wide now compared to this one because of that late, report towards the end of the session. This is like the aftermath. So that's why tomorrow, I don't know if I'll trade much, just because we're undefeated for the week. We've caught thousands of pips. People made stupid money today and literally. So we were in the trade for 15 minutes, but the actual move happened in like 1 minute once it triggered with the earnings. So there's no reason to continue to force trades. Because I said there's a time to trade and a time to not trade. And there's a time to hold them and there's a time to fold them. And I'm going to fold them for the rest of the week. But especially for the free trial, I will keep an eye out though, obviously for opportunities. But I think for sure for Akashx, man, like the people that cashed out, like there's no reason to keep forcing trades. Personally, like I gotta teach you what's the truth, But let's look at this real quick to wrap it up. If we go back to the NAS chat, where are we at? This is today. Let's scroll up. Boom, boom, boom. Now there's so many other teams and group chats and stuff like that, but this is just some of the testimonials from this. And I'm telling this to all the people on the free trial that like maybe you've seen some type of good profit or whatever from the free trial, but you don't know what it's going to actually be like when you actually join Akashx. Here, you're looking at it right now. Today, last couple of trades that we just sent. 546 for the day, 168. Excuse the language in here. We were just very excited with the profit. 3,432. Keep in mind, this is like in a span of 5 minutes. That candle happened in less than 5 minutes. 1,827, 232, 332, 858, 2,090, 429, 291. I'm only showing you this because of how many people won. Like, it's not just, oh, yeah, this one guy over here made some money. Like, no, if you're just paying attention, a lot of people are making money.